You know the sound, the roar of the crowd, the absolute brilliance on the pitch. It's the pinnacle of the beautiful game. The 2026 World Cup was literally a spectacle of unparalleled athletic achievement. But right beyond those dazzling stadium lights, hiding in the shadows that the broadcast cameras never caught, well, a very different kind of contest was playing out. A high-stakes, entirely unseen war against dangers that threatened to turn sports history into an absolute global tragedy. Which begs a question that completely rewrites how we view this historic tournament. Was the 2026 World Cup actually just one leaked message away from total disaster? A recently surfaced, highly confidential police dossier, obtained by the Spanish news outlet Informacion.es, has blown the lid completely off what was really happening behind the scenes. This document exposes massive, downright terrifying security threats targeting the biggest icons in the sport and, yeah, even the match officials.
Okay, let's dive into this because the leaked file reveals just how close the tournament came to an unimaginable catastrophe. We're talking heavy perimeter operations happening literally steps from the turnstiles. Millions of fans walked right through those gates, completely unaware that intelligence agencies and local police were actively hunting down credible threats in real time, right under their noses.
Just imagine the immense amount of unseen pressure resting on the shoulders of these global icons. And this wasn't just some abstract danger, right? These threats were incredibly specific. Argentina's squad, and specifically Lionel Messi, became primary targets. The dossier reveals that the greatest player of his generation wasn't just carrying the hopes of his entire nation. He was actually the focal point of a chilling, highly targeted plot. The specifics documented in this police file are absolutely staggering. Get this. Before Argentina's group stage match against Jordan, a chilling phone call was intercepted at a Dallas airport. The caller explicitly threatened to storm the stadium, quoting here, armed with explosives and a rifle, and directly named Messi as the target. And it didn't stop there. Right before that high-stakes match against Egypt, another severe threat emerged. An attacker claiming they planned to enter the Atlanta stadium with explosives, again singling out the Argentine captain. Authorities had to instantly escalate both incidents into full-scale rapid response investigations. And Messi wasn't the only global superstar in the crosshairs. Cristiano Ronaldo was absolutely not spared from this shadow war. The leaked dossier documents a major security breach concern after a FIFA employee flagged a highly suspicious individual who was aggressively trying to uncover the exact, specific details of Ronaldo's hotel accommodations. The vulnerability of these athletes in what were supposed to be their sanctuaries, that was a very real, very pressing concern for global security forces. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the danger extended way beyond the players. Match officials, the guys tasked with actually keeping order on the pitch, they were heavily targeted too. Referee Francois Letexier, who officiated that super tense, controversial match between Argentina and Egypt, found himself right in the crosshairs. After the final whistle blew, the heat didn't dissipate. Actually, scratch that, it mutated into something far darker. Thousands. I really want to emphasize that number. Thousands. That is the sheer volume of severe, threatening messages Letexier received following just that single match. We're not talking about standard fan frustration here. We're talking about a highly coordinated, overwhelming deluge of intimidation tactics directed at one single official. Literally thousands of crosshairs aimed at one man just for doing his job on the global stage. And this net of intimidation was cast incredibly wide. Norway's powerhouse striker Alexander Sørloth and Colombia's dynamic winger Jean-Jonathan Campas were also subjected to fierce, targeted threats following highly publicized moments on the pitch. Nobody was entirely out of reach. So, this all brings us to the most critical question. How in the world did the security apparatus hold up under this massive, sustained pressure? With bombers calling airports, stalkers probing hotels, and literally thousands of death threats flying through cyberspace, how did organizers keep the world's biggest sporting event from collapsing into total chaos? Well, they did it by building the most heavily fortified World Cup in human history. The countermeasures were aggressive, they were absolute, and importantly, they were mostly invisible to the everyday fan. We're talking about miles of reinforced concrete barriers, highly sophisticated anti-sniper screens shielding vulnerable transit points, incredibly strict, heavily monitored no-fly zones designed specifically to neutralize drone threats, and a relentless 24/7 grid of continuous armed patrols locking down team hotels and training complexes. This level of unprecedented protection relied on a massive, hidden apparatus of federal agents. specialized local forces, and international intelligence units just working seamlessly around the clock. Every single time a team bus moved, every time a player simply stepped out of a hotel, they were operating inside a tightly controlled, heavily armed bubble engineered by the absolute best security professionals in the world.
So the crucial point is this: the shield held. State police and federal agents stood watch over packed stadiums, and despite the absolutely terrifying scale of the threats documented in the dossier, despite the specific plots against Messi, the probing of Ronaldo's hotel, the sheer volume of hatred aimed at officials, not a single one of these attacks was successfully carried out. That invisible wall worked flawlessly.
And honestly, knowing about this hidden war gives the pure, unadulterated joy of the championship podium a completely new sense of awe. Think about the confetti, the trophy lift, the safe and triumphant conclusion of the whole tournament. The stark contrast between those very real, very dark threats lurking in that leaked dossier and this victorious moment, it's incredible. That celebration was earned not just by the athletes on the field, but by the thousands of nameless security personnel who made sure the pitch remained a sanctuary.
The ultimate takeaway from this leaked file isn't just about fear, though. It's about phenomenal execution. Yes, these documented threats and investigations were severe, and they represent a pretty chilling reality of modern global events. But more than anything, they serve as definitive proof of the unseen, impenetrable shield wrapping the world's biggest athletes. The system was tested by the absolute worst intentions, and the system won. So I have to ask you, did you realize this level of intense, high-stakes security was happening right in front of us the whole time? Does knowing about these bomb threats and targeted plots change how you view the tournament we all watched? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to hear your perspective on this. And hey, if you appreciated this explainer decoding the hidden reality of the 2026 World Cup, make sure to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive. I'll see you in the next one.